Mr. Eggplant presents...
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. It's been quite some time since I've posted any sort of Mythic Plus content here on the channel, let alone a full breakdown run, so I'm changing that. So this is going to be my highest key so far this season, which is a +14 timed Priory at the Sacred Flame, and I am playing a Dark Ranger Marksman Hunter in this run. So this run's going to start off with a bang. We're going to pull everything together, do a big lust, and just go to town on this first set. Trash. So the cool thing is with the changes in 11.2, we were able to use Black Arrow to get trick shots. So you can see right now, I am absolutely zooming up the charts, so much so that we saw that second part of the pack get pulled in a little bit later, and I unfortunately die. So I was doing too much damage, and of course, when you're doing some of the most damage in your life, and you die all of a sudden, you just kind of sit there like I am right now. Still trying to contemplate what the heck happened. I wish I would have put down a binding shot, something like that. And I was also trying to figure out and remember if these footmen can see us through stealth. Well, they can't, so we're fine. So let's go ahead and move right on back up here, and my build string will be found down in the description of the video. And the cool thing is, this is the Dark Ranger Mythic Plus build that I'm now championing in my 11.2.5 Marksman Hunter guide, which I have a link in the description if you guys would like to check that out. And the string for this build will be found down there as well. So it's basically really all about feedback from you guys, my viewers, and I always try to make content and tailor some of my builds to what you guys want to see played in Mythic Plus, in Raid, and on YouTube, that sort of thing. So, everybody who plays Marksman Hunter, specifically Dark Ranger and Raid, are used to a certain rotation. You're basically looking for Black Arrow procs and then just doing a ton of damage with your True Shot. Well, the cool thing is with this build, it acts exactly as the single target build does. So I'm already in the game, so to speak. I don't have to really worry about what I'm thinking about for rotation. And the cool thing is you get so many more explosive shots out with this build. As we are pulling Suleiman here, and then we'll be taking on the next ad that'll come down here, Shaymail here in just a second. And I'm just rolling my cooldowns. I know that this group is going to pull big, and we have to pull big because the timer is not really kind. There's a lot of trash that is first off lethal, as we just saw just a few minutes ago, but also as I go ahead and trap the sharpshooter since he was just picking people off, and I know Karm had knocked him up, but luckily knock up won't stop the trap from working there. But sharpshooters are dangerous in here, and the knights are also important. That's usually going to be one of your priority targets because they have the big AoE shout. They can interrupt any casters, includes your healer, and it just does a ton of AoE damage. So that's also a good spot for your survival of the fittest, because you guys know we're going to be using that a lot in this dungeon because this stuff hurts. So Suleiman is now coming down thanks to the other guard dying, and then we just have the one other guard after that, which we're going to be going to the left side of the Sanctified Grounds. And this group is doing a really amazing job of making sure we have at least 3 targets so I can cleave pretty much the entire time. And I kind of alluded to it, the changes that they made in 11.2 allow us to, for the most part, and I'm also using the idol, by the way. I am using the idol, which is a melee-only trinket. Well, it drops for melee only, but it works just fine. It's a minute 30 cooldown, which is perfect for for Dark Ranger, and then it also gives crit and a little bit of damage. In fact, it did about 2.5% of my total damage just from being in melee and using it, since it does more damage the more enemies you hit. And it does damage to every enemy you hit, I should say. I'm sure it has a cap of probably like 8 or something like that, but it does give you a stacking amount of crit based on how many you hit. So we're just kind of slowly pulling more and more in. I'm using my misdirection as much as possible. They all get pulled in there. And then the rotation. It's super, super simple, just like with Raid. So you want to be able to cleave, so you do need to get trick shots up with multi-shot to start off. But you use aim shot, and then you have a chance to get your Black Arrow proc. Then you just simply use that Black Arrow proc in place of the multi-shot. So you're basically just doing your single target rotation. If you get Black Arrow, use Black Arrow. If you don't get a black arrow proc, you use multi-shot just like normal in an AoE situation. It's super, super simple, and it made this a ton of fun. You guys know me. I played a lot of Dark Ranger, even though it probably wasn't the best in Season 2. I was having a ton of fun playing it, but it is so, so fun, and the damage isn't as good in AoE than it is for Sentinel, for example, but the change with the precision detonation, magnetic gunpowder, and shrapnel shot allow you, even when you don't get your procs of Black Arrow, it allows you to kind of lean on that explosive shot for that extra little bit of damage. So I knew we were going to have a big pull here. I have my true shot coming out, use that Black Arrow that I'm always going to proc. Aim shot, I use my trinket there. I get multi-shot to get multi-shot to get your trick shots up, and now we're just going to do our normal rotation and try to kick all we can. These casters hurt. And you're going to be getting so many more aim shots out. And the cool thing is with the shrapnel shot build is that for Dark Ranger, you're really just casting these things to get your procs of Black Arrow. And every time you get these lock and load procs, so every time you are using your explosive shot, you're first off getting explosive shot damage, but you're also giving yourself another chance to get another Black Arrow proc. So it's such a nice quality of life, and it allows you to focus more on just spending abilities and doing damage and not necessarily trying to min-max every little thing like I felt I had to in the other build. And then when the footmen come out there, you do want to knock those up if possible, like I did there. If you break their concentration, so to speak, when they're defending, they then take a ton more damage, and any enemy that's in their circle is also taking significantly less damage. So then you want to cleave off of that target, and when you cleave off the target, everybody else also takes more damage because of it. So we see our rogue is running away because the rogue was actually in the wrong build. So we're not going to have the rogue here for a little bit, but time is money, friend, as the goblins say, so we are going to have to keep moving. And we're going to pull all of these footmen. I have my true shot. I'm ready to go. I don't want to cleave off the high priest because I'll probably kill myself. But we're going to go ahead and start here. We're going to use the trinket, so I hit everybody, get that big burst of crit, and then we're just going to go to town. So multi-shot into aim shot into Black Arrow, and then just back and forth. We're just going to ping back and forth between those abilities. When my explosive shot comes up, I'm going to use that, but make sure I have trick shots first, so that way it cleaves. I get my Black Arrow proc, so then I go right back to aim shot. Did I get my Black Arrow proc? I did, so I keep moving. It's just pinging back and forth. And you guys know that if you've played Dark Ranger, it feels really bad when you don't get your procs. And I've been getting quite a few procs so far in this run. But the nice thing is about this build is, I alluded to it earlier, the explosive shot damage is still there in this build. It did about 8% of my total damage, where in a previous iteration or build, since you don't have points to put in salvo and stuff like that, or to make the most of the build, the AoE portion of the build like you can as a Sentinel Marksman Hunter, you tend to fall off if you don't get the procs. But I was staying right up with the rest of the group, and I think I was actually the lowest geared player in the group too. And these were some really, really great players. It was so nice to get in there, do a key, and I'm sure we'll have a few more keys before it's all said and done. So the High Priest is last because I was afraid of nuking myself, to be honest with you. If you're targeting her when she has her shield up, which her shield comes up when she has full mana, you can just kill yourself very, very quickly, particularly if you hit a big Black Arrow. But I'm looking at my true shot, and I'm asking the group, so we have Tainer that's coming over here, the last of what are these guys are called? Commanders, there we go, captains. I need to figure out, am I using my true shot or am I not? Because I want to have true shot up for the boss. I used true shot and about died. But also, whenever you use true shot, you automatically get that Black Arrow proc, that first one. So you can use that to your advantage by making sure that you have precise shots up. So then that Black Arrow does a ton of damage. So Ember Storm comes down here. We're going to dodge these circles, and we're just going to keep on AoEing. And I know that there's going to be one more ad or set of ads that are going to get pulled in here. So we have Tainer here. He's at 43%. I about eat it once again. That really, really hurt. But we have one more pull before the boss. So we have Dalecry will be the first boss, and then we have Brawn Pike, and then finally Merprey later on. So we have the sharpshooter that's over there. That's something that I probably should have used a trap on. That way it's not just, there we go, never mind, jumped in, so I eat my words, I suppose. But that could have been a great opportunity to put a trap over there. That way he's not constantly pinging everybody for damage that the healer has to deal with on top of everything else that's going on. So still doing that normal rotation of multi-shot, aim shot into hopefully Black Arrow, into aim shot again, and so on and so forth. The one thing that I was noticing that, so your rapid fire can give you your trick shots, or excuse me, can give you your precise shots, but it feels really weird. It doesn't do as much damage. It's really nice when the aim shot is the one that gives it to you, because it does automatically give you 2 of the precise shot charges, or procs, if you will. So all right, so we're up here, and we're actually going to be attacking the other captain here, and I'm going to use my trinkets even during what the heck, why not? I even did it during True Shot, like I shouldn't. But I'm doing all the damage I can to Emberlands, because she has a huge health pool. The bosses share health, as we can see. We're over 12 million DPS right now, and she's above that 80% threshold, so I will be able to use Black Arrow on her every 10 seconds. And so because they share health, and it's also a 2-target cleave, this build works masterfully. And this fight did change, so that's why you see the circles now. The Dalecry does have an interrupt that we need to be interrupting, otherwise you're pretty much dead, and the Rogue did a great job with that one. And then Emberlands is already almost below that 80%. I've been doing a ton of damage to her. The problem is that then I will have to just turn around and fight Dalecry. Now, there would be a point anyway when you would want to fight Dalecry over her, because he will start giving you bullseye stacks where she obviously never will. So the Savage Mauling is on me, and for whatever reason, the heals are so good, I don't even realize it's happening. So what you do is you DPS that shield down. It's just a couple of % of the boss's health, or for a hunter, you can feign death, regardless of what flavor hunter you are. So I'm back on Emberlands now, but Dalecry is already at just above 30% right now, and I'm just going to stick on him for the rest of the time. I'm looking at my cooldowns. Do I need to use those cooldowns? Do I not? I'm using them. So we are going to finish this boss off, because the longer he goes, the harder it will be. Here comes the Holy Radiance. It's kind of a bad overlap that happens here. But we're in our bullseye range. We stack up that bullseye very quick. The Earth-Shattering Spear comes out, so you want to try to bait those in good spots like we did, and everybody moves out. And then typically I would have liked to use my big cooldown on this big pull we're going to have happen here in just a second. But look at that, just under 7 million DPS for that fight, which typically we would be significantly less than that as a Sentinel. So already reaping the benefits of running with the pure single target build that just so happens to cleave. Literally, it's a single target build with 2 different points, and those 2 different points are your trick shots and then your light ammo. So we're going to do a double pull here, and we'll bring them all out. And so looking really good so far. And you can see that Ricky Two Mice definitely had his cooldowns ready to go. He is absolutely tearing into this group. Use that explosive shot. Always follow. I get trick shots first, then use explosive shot, and then follow it up with that lock and load proc, so it will detonate early, and it will also cleave. And then I'm just going to keep pinging back and forth. Like I'm not using cooldowns. I have not used any sort of big cooldown. We've hardly gotten any black arrows. I'm still doing 11 million, almost 12 million for this pull, even without our main ability, which is True Shot. And this build is just so nice. It's so easy to play. You don't have to worry about putting your Lunar Storm in the right spot. You don't necessarily have to worry about like proc famine or something like that, where I had been in previous pulls that I had been doing like early on in this tier when I was running with a more of a traditional Dark Ranger build. So we're over halfway done with our enemy forces. We've got 1 of 2 bosses down, and so we're just going to start to slow roll this pack a little bit. So we're going to have a couple of interrupts. We got the Priest. The Sacred Toll is going to hurt. There's 2 Paladins in this group, so that's one reason why you don't want to double pull it. I don't even think you can double pull, actually. I guess there's the group on the left side of this room you can pull. You can see them there on the left side of the screen. So they have the priest. It's just going to be doing smites. It's going to be doing a heal periodically. And then there eventually will be a mage. And then the mage has mage abilities that need to be kicked. And there's a purge that needs to happen on this Templar. I am not doing it. My head is a million miles away and not thinking about getting rid of that purge. That's something that I could do looking back, and that's one of the things that I love about doing these types of videos, and the main reason I started recording my Mythic Plus runs is that I can go back and see where I can do better as a player. So we have the Templar out there, and hey, I learned already. I used my trank shot to get rid of that. I actually reap the benefits of that as well. I get a little bit of focus back when I successfully do that, and that's always a good thing. So, all right, so we're going to work on this group. We're going to have the side packs are going to be up the stairs. We'll be coming down the stairs after you defeat the first pack that's on the floor here. So they're already over in position over above the meters. And you're looking at the damage right now. We're just about over 8 million. I haven't really got a lot of procs, so that is kind of how Dark Ranger works. It is very proc-based. It can be very feast or famine. But this build definitely fills in those gaps pretty nicely, and it's definitely user-friendly. So you're going to have a big pull here. I used Explosive Shot, Aim Shot, which I already had Trick Shots up, then into Black Arrow, and then I'm just going to ping back and forth, Multi-Shot to Aim Shot, hopefully Black Arrow, otherwise Multi-Shot into Aim Shot, Multi-Shot into Rapid Fire, Multi-Shot, Explosive Shot, use the Lock and Load proc, got the proc of Black Arrow, and then that just allows me to skip the multi-shot, which is kind of I don't buff it at all in this build anyway. It was allowed me to keep up with the group. I actually caught up to them where I was behind by a fair bit. And in these keys, if you're somebody who wants to try out a Dark Ranger, there's just a few things that I would suggest trying. Like, for example, is just, if you get your Black Arrow procs, boom, you can use that in place of multi-shot. But just getting in the habit of going multi-shot, Explosive Shot, then Lock and Load. So that way you check all the boxes. You are able to cleave, and you're able to detonate early and use those free procs that are saving you focus, where then you can turn around and spend them later. And that's also whittling the cooldown of your aim shot down. You're getting so many more aim shot charges. So the downtime that you have is significantly less than casting multiple steady shots and stuff like that if you have to. Because if you notice, I don't cast a ton of steady shots, and if I do, it's more so to lower the remaining cooldown of my next aim shot than it is needing focus regeneration. I tend to stay in above 40 for a decent amount of this key. All right, so I've been doing a lot of talking about the rotation there. We've got the 2 paladins, and they are the ones that are going to cast those tolls. Those tolls hurt real bad. If you see a toll that's coming out, if about halfway through the cast, if you use one of your Survival of the Fittest charges, you will have that charge up, that defensive up, for both of them that are casted. So that's something that I would keep in mind. So my goal was to have True Shot up here for the boss pull, and here we go. So I'm going to put my Hunter's Mark on the target here. I'm going to use my Cursed Stone Idol really quick. Black Arrow, Explosive Shot, aim shot into Black Arrow, aim shot into Rapid Fire. Did I get a proc? I did. So we're going to keep moving over to the left, then aim shot, and then I'm going to slowly stutter step and move a little bit more. The Sacrificial Pyre is going to come out. We're going to deal with that in a few minutes. But look, that is some strong burst we've got so far. And that's with procs, and we're going to use our Disengage to get out of the Castigator Shield. And then we want to be over here towards these Orbs of Light. But this build just really does have some nice burst, and you don't even have to get a ton of procs to do it. And the gear that I'm using, and by the way, my item level in this run I believe is 714. My whole entire gear build information will be found down in the description of the video, including uptime on pertinent buffs and that sort of thing. But the nice thing is that I'm using a lazy build, so I don't have a ton of haste. I have a lot more mastery than I normally would as I disengage back, and it's a build that works well, and you don't feel like you have to min-max, because that's something that can happen a lot, where you feel like, oh, I have to hit this much haste, I have to hit this much mastery. I don't worry about it too much. What you can do is just stack haste, or stack your crit up to 54%, 53, 54, until you hit 20% into diminished returns. and you just dump the rest into who knows what. Like, I'll probably need more versatility if the higher we do these keys, particularly these shields are doing over 50% of my health, and I have like 16 million health right now. And then I'm going to use my explosive shot, aim shot. I'm going to get my stack of the stone idol. And so here's where one of my big mistakes of the key. I got too excited, and I used my true shot without having focus. That gimps that ability. You want to make sure and have your focus first. And when these circles come out, don't use your disengage, even though you might want to try to stay in there just a little bit longer. Use it for the castigator shield, and so you don't have to worry about it. But we're at 20% on Braun Pike. I went ahead and popped that cooldown, that last true shot, because we were still, about 30 to 35, maybe even 40% of the boss's health. So we're going to have one more that's going to come out. I might actually walk over and get this. Nope, looks like the tank is going to do that. And then we're just going to finish off Braun Pike. So I'm looking at my true shot right now. I am not going to be using it because it won't be up. But if it was this point in the fight, I would not be using it. So we have the pyre that's going to come out. I'm going to say we ignore that pyre. We're just going to stay. I'm going to just strafe out of there. Don't even need the disengage. We finish off the boss just under 4 million. That's not too bad for an extended fight that it normally doesn't last that long for us since I haven't done this key at this high of a level yet. So we've got a big pull here that's going to happen, and we still have 10 seconds on true shot. So we're just going to do the normal rotation. We're going to do multi-shot, explosive shot into aim shot, hope to get the black arrow proc. Have my trinket coming up, and trinket and true shot are always going to be used together. I can't. So the trinket, you can move while using it, but you have to cast it, as you can see. So I don't have the macro together, but I did get the black arrow proc for using true shot, so now we're just going to ping back and forth again with multi-shot into aim shot, hopefully get the black arrow proc, otherwise go to multi-shot. And then you'll very, very rarely, other than on bosses, see me cast my arcane shot, and that's a beautiful thing to see, that's for sure. And my number one overall damaging ability in this key was actually aim shot, and it was not black arrow. But number 3 was phantom pain. So they did a really nice job of making phantom pain worthwhile. Like it really wasn't in season 2. It was not worth taking at all. But it is now because of how the black arrows actually spread. So bleak powder, whenever you hit a target with 2 or more target with bleak powder, that's what actually, or otherwise known as your black arrow, that's what actually procs the trick shots, and that spreads that dot as well, where you spent so much time trying to spread the dot that you didn't get to actually do any damage with it in Season 2, but now you don't have to worry about that. And so you saw me have trick shots up, and I had a black arrow, but I opted to use aim shot first, which would then give me my precise shots, and then that made the black arrow hit even harder. So that's another thing that I would suggest doing, is just because you get the black arrow, you want to use it to cleave, but if I've already got trick shots and I have an aim shot loaded up and ready to go, I don't want to waste the black arrow. I want to supercharge the black arrow and then let it loose for some crazy damage. So we have the toll that came out there. I'm looking at, I actually have I need to be feigning that. There we go. I heard myself somehow in the future. But whenever you get the beam on you from the elementals, I guess they're not technically elements, they're like light mentals, I guess. The light spawn, there we go. But you can feign that. You can only do that every 20 seconds, though. So I'm looking at my cooldowns, and I'm most likely, if I remember right, I'm asking the group, what's the next pull going to look like? So once you get to a certain threshold, the light spawn, I think it's either 10 or 20%. That is when it will just kill itself. We've got some Risen Mages here, which I'm really hoping Risen Mages will be an option for Undead at some point. We'll have to wait and see on that. Looking at that Trinket, I actually did not use the Trinket. I don't know why I do that. Sometimes I do it in my True Shot, which I guess isn't all bad, because the Trinket does do damage and has a chance to do extra damage because of that. So maybe that's what I was thinking about and not really thinking at the same time. But I want to try to take advantage of having True Shot up for as long as possible and maximizing everything. And by maximizing, making sure I had trick shots up before I cast it, and making sure that I'm not wasting time by using a trinket or something like that. You do all the setup before you use the big shiny ability. So there's the rapid fire that cleaved. I used the black arrow to get trick shots. I went ahead and I used multi-shot there. I'm not really sure why. Got the volleys that need to be kicked, so I was actually the interrupt on the star ad, which is what I've been cleaving off of. I'm not perfect with the rotation. Still, that's always something that I can do a better job of, and that's my goal anytime I go into a Mythic Plus key, is to try to be a better player than I was when I came in. And for the most part, I think I've been doing a pretty great job, and I'm really hoping that you guys enjoy. As I'm going to use multi-shot, or I guess I used black arrow to do that. There we go. I still had enough time. I have 2 seconds or so to cast the aim shot after. Casting the explosive shot to still get that precision detonation damage. But I'm really hoping that you guys like this build, and I hope that you get value out of it, because I've been having a ton of fun with it. I've done about 10 keys, and it's 25%. I was wrong on both. It's not 10, it's not 20, it's 25% on that light spawn. So, all right, so we're going to do a huge pull here with Brawn Pike, which is probably the real boss in this place. But I have all my cooldowns ready to go. They told us we were doing it, and here we go. This one needs some crazy amount of healing. So I'm going to go multi-shot into aim shot, hope to get the black arrow, which I didn't. I did get it there, so now explosive shot, aim shot, hope to get it, didn't. Multi-shot, then aim shot, got the proc there, and now I'm just getting procs. Like, we are melting this entire pull. I should have been on one of the priests, and I wasn't, to just get an interrupt. I know a couple of heals went off, I believe, and that's something that I can do a better job of, because we're probably Karm is probably doing like 6 million plus HPS at this point. This pull absolutely hurts. It's one of the main reasons that we had lust for it. And we pulled the middle pack and then the right pack, and then when it was almost dead, we pulled the middle pack, or we continued with the middle pack and then pulled the left pack, because this should be everything we need. And then we're going to be going up to the Prioress and finishing off this key. So I whiffed on my interrupt. I unfortunately do that quite a bit. I need to do a better job of interrupting. If anything, my crowd control, my CC, definitely could use some work, and that's what I'm going to have to if I want to continue to push, which I'm hoping to do all 15s this season, and maybe even higher than that once the Turbo event really kind of takes charge, starting on the 21st, when they start giving us uncapped crests, and then also we can buy those items with the dinar or whatever the ethereal version is going to be for the remainder of Season 3 when people aren't doing Legion Remix. All right, so the last footman is there, but we've got things to do. We've got the Prioress, so I ran up to get in trinket range, since it is a melee trinket, and now we're just going to do our rotation. I should have kind of led with the explosive shot and to start off, but you know, it is what it is. We have blinding shot, and I need to use my cooldowns because this fight is going to take a lot longer. I'm going to dodge the circle with Holy Flame, and we need to be interrupting the smites whenever we can. It's just less damage on your tank. And then I'm fishing for those black arrow procs, which unfortunately I just missed out on the 80% range, but there's one for good measure. But we have to get her to 50%, and then once we get her to 50%, that's when she phases. Typically my groups run lust on this for second phase, but we don't have that luxury since we did the big pull beforehand. So because of that, we're going to have to do some crazy damage up top. So blinding light, there we go, excuse me, comes down there, and we are just continuing to do our normal rotation of aim shot, use precise shot, whether that be black arrow or arcane shot, then going explosive shot into aim shot, and then weaving in, there we go, whittling the cooldown of aim shot with steady shot, but then weaving in those rapid fires, particularly when you need a little bit of focus, because it's a good focus generating ability. So I'm going to not run this over Karma as much as possible. The Prioress is at 51% health. I'm trying to not die myself. And here comes Cheetah, and up we go for the last bit of this fight. So this is typically where we want to burn through this Embrace of the Light, burn through the shield, that way we can interrupt her, and then that will stop the ad spawning, because those ads will just decimate your group. So I waited to have my true shot up here. I have it up here. She's stoking the flame. She gets all these crazy abilities. I'm kind of in melee range there just a little bit. That way I could use my trinket. And then we did have only our second death of the run so far. So it was currently just me that had died at the very beginning. So this has been a very, very clean run, and definitely a run that the entire group should be proud of. So we have Blinding Light that's coming out. I'm going to make sure I don't you know, just take it to the face, because you'll not only will you take a ton of damage, you'll probably die, but you'll also be blinded, and that's pretty much it at that point. You're pretty much useless to your group. So a lot of these abilities are not interruptible. So inner fire comes out, so she's going to be, that's her kind of buff. Here comes the next blinding light. I'm going to make sure and not get hit by that. I need to be using a little bit more defensive before that, but I was actually kind of out other than my turtle, and I did want to use the turtle at the very end to hopefully negate an entire turn phase, or with a blinding light. But this was such an amazing key, and I really appreciate the invite for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this run. Definitely consider subscribing to me here on YouTube if you haven't already, and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. Here comes the last final true shot of this this key. This was an amazing job. I used the BM ability that is Turtle to get through this. But there we go. Damage comes out 8.13 million DPS. That was the first key of this height for this tier for sure, maybe even for the expansion. So thank you guys for watching. Best of luck in Mythic Plus or whatever you do in this game, and I'll see you next time.